Why is the London Underground going on strike? This is the information you need to know. RMT General Secretary Mike Lynch says the following. Our members will be taking strike action next week because a financial crisis at LUL has been deliberately engineered by the government to drive a cuts agenda which would savage jobs, services, safety and threaten their working conditions and pensions. The sheer scale of that threat was confirmed in talks yesterday. These are the very same transport staff praised as heroes for carrying London through COVID for nearly 2 years, often at serious personal risk, who now have no option but to strike to defend their livelihoods. The politicians need to wake up to the fact that transport staff will not pay the price for this cynical engineered crisis. In addition to the strike action, RMT is coordinating a campaign of resistance with colleagues from other unions impacted by this threat. The union remains available for talks aimed at resolving the dispute. Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, who is in charge of the London Underground, says the following. The RMT is letting the government off the hook and letting down Londoners by pointing the finger at him and TfL bosses. Mr. Khan said, had I declined support from the government, had I not acceded to the conditions attached by the government, TfL would have gone bankrupt. TfL going bankrupt means every single person employed by TfL loses their job, and that includes not just RMT workers, but workers from other unions, and indeed those workers who are not a member of any union. Additionally, that would have caused many challenges for businesses across our city that employ millions of Londoners. It's in nobody's interest for TfL to go bankrupt, and what I'd say to RMT is, rather than going on what is best, a premature strike, let's sit down to resolve differences, because the strike today and the strike on Thursday is bad for TfL. It's bad for Londoners. It's bad for businesses who have really struggled after the last 2 years in the pandemic. It's really important for us to realise that these are government conditions. The RMT pointing the finger at me or at the TfL Commissioner is letting the government off the hook, A, and B, punishing Londoners and punishing their members and punishing TfL. How is that good for the RMT? Now, most importantly, what do you think? Is there nowhere else for the government to get the money from? Are the people working in the underground paid enough? Is the union right and they should strike, or is it something else? Please say your comments and they will go in the next video. We need to know what you think.